Oh, this one's May 1st. The second of that day, and the Mayan day, was one eagle, and it's called ET's 103, Insectoids and Others. And it was written, it flowed through so long ago, I don't remember what's in it, so we'll find out together. On this one Mayan day, let us soar like an eagle and get that higher perspective on things down below in 3D. Let us take advantage of our light body, for all have them, use them, just not consciously, not for most. As we rise up out of the network of lies that's been woven for us, let us begin to remember our cosmic star origins as we start to trust in ourself, higher self. With great purpose and evil intent has this network of falsehoods been fed to us from our birth. As babies, we're vaccinated, taken from mother's milk, nursed on falsehoods from birth. Oh, they've woven their web carefully, laid their traps thoughtfully, sure, so sure we'd be caught. Well, some of us were, but wait, many of us chose that fate just to show what's in store. When we see it before us, it's easier to see how they were duped in our place. Not our place precisely, but clearly it could be if they had not gone before. So, any being that wants you to trust it, look out. What's with that? Do you think God Almighty wants you to trust her? Do you think she needs to go there? Come on, drop into heart and let's look at this. Anyone who wants to follow where I lead will do this. You will challenge any being that appears before you, waking or sleeping. Furthermore, you will do something else. In your conversations and dealings with that one, should you have them, you will find a way to thwart its will. Then just watch and feel. That's the tell. Consider this a part of your armor, my friends. Do not trust. At least don't trust easily. It's a mistake. Furthermore, if you are in heart, you will feel the falseness of the being as it tries to manipulate you. Consider, why would it want to do that to influence you? Angels know we have free will. They don't try to control it in any way. These beings, so many of them, are manipulators. They just can't help it. That's their way. The way of their whole civilization is power and control, the misuse thereof. That's how I see it. It's in our great favor to know this. The other thing that often gives them away, which they also can't help, is their supreme arrogance. Just scratch the surface and you'll find it. They are very brittle when they're crossed. For those absolutely hungry for some real information about some real legitimate ETs who are beings of true light, may I refer you to Alex Collier. He is not an abductee, not one like me who has had only other dimensional or energetic contact with these beings, but rather one who has had decades, Alex has, of direct face-to-face interactions and experiences with light beings from the constellation Andromeda. Links in the transcript. I know and I understand this desire to know. I have been through it. I did my own investigating and exploring. Along the way, I too was manipulated and played with when I trustingly followed what apparent light beings were teaching. A couple of them I followed for several months. I'm not saying that my experience is good enough for you. No, you've definitely got to have your own. I'm just seeking to arm you so you don't wander too trustingly into crafty nets that have been set to entrap us. Now, considering that I obviously survived this whole process, and not just with one set of dark beings, then I'm obviously good news. We can break free. We can wake up. We can be wiser than they are, and all of their fancy technology notwithstanding. And that's the good news. So here comes some more clues to equip you for wiser exploration than mine. I'll give you two in this journal, two major ones. The first one is that among the many and varied races out yonder are those that are quite different in almost every way from mankind. There are races that are insectoid. Perhaps you've heard of them. They will often communicate with you quite clearly too, but without ever appearing. Or if these beings appear, any race of them, any kind, please consider that they're not necessarily from 3D, so it's nothing to them to shapeshift. They can wear whatever outer appearance their mind conjures up. So that's the first hint. Don't just trust what you see. Be in heart. But back to the insectoid races. I bring them up, and they're very intelligent, by the way. Don't confuse them with earth bugs, please, because they have a different way of being, of thinking. They have what we might call a hive mentality, some of them. They act as a group. They have a group mind. That's how they're organized. Tremendous telepathy. These beings really think they're helping us too, because they are so organized and we're not. Have you ever seen a group of ants at work? See the clear roles, the organization there? That's their way. They look at the mess we've made of our planet and think that their way of being's the answer for us. Well, it's not, but they don't know it. So you'll find them most helpful seeming and sincere. They do want to help, but they're coming from their own perspective on that. Just as one man's trash is another man's treasure, so it is with these dear beings. Yes, they are sincere. Yes, they want to help. But let's look into this a bit further. Let's define their concept of help, for instance. What do they mean by that? Well, what is their world like? It is highly structured, organized, and very, very controlled. Not one, no one, but no one steps out of their place. The power resides at the top, and the little ones know they will never be able to grow into it. That is a human thing, to grow and expand and have opportunity that way. They don't get that. They don't vibe to that. It just looks like chaos to them. Can you see? Please see. Don't be afraid. Now, just consider what their help might mean coming from this sort of consciousness. Is this anything we'd really care to allow, to participate in? Would you go along with that, with their need to take over, control, and run things? I know I wouldn't. Okay, this is enough, I'm sure, for many of you. It's just too strange, especially on first encountering this information. I know it creeped me out, though we don't realize it. As long as we remain mind-centric, we have a built-in prejudice against bugs, against insects. The mind judges them as not nice, not light. Well, that's not fair. And that's another good reason to leave mind behind and start centering in heart, to explore. When you're heart-based, you won't be so surprised by the fact that there could be highly intelligent, well-organized, thoroughly functional civilizations of very large, or not, insectoid beings. The star systems hold many such surprises for us. Also, the second thing I promised to share is this. Though mankind has been somewhat slow to explore and manipulate DNA, star races have been mastering that for eons upon eons. There are many crossbreed beings, so don't be put off by appearances. And that's the mind. Stay in heart. What's important is not the container, but what it contains. Thank you. Boy, I like that last line. Not the container, but what it contains. And I want to step in here. You know, when you look at the grays, do you recognize in their eyes, those great big slanting eyes? Isn't that a little bit insectoid? I've heard that those might be goggles to protect eyes that are underneath. I don't know. I don't get into this stuff too deeply. But I can describe, well, maybe I can describe to you what it feels like to have these beings enter your consciousness. Or maybe I can't. It's very, they're just there. They're on the inside of you and feeding you thoughts, and you know it's not you, and it's just very strange. And I encountered a real sincerity there and a desire to help. But don't you see, this is different, but it's similar. And that's that so many light beings, we call ourselves light workers, and we're at different stages in our evolution, in the cleansing of our physicality, our body, mind, being, our aura. Until the aura is really sparkly clean, the dark forces use whatever impurity we've got in us that vibes with them. So they can reach in and grab that and manipulate, and that's their way in, don't you see? It's our own impurity. If we were pure light, they couldn't touch us. And as we raise in frequency, in consciousness, I mean, you know, another interesting experiment is to send these beings a tremendous wave of love. And if it makes them uncomfortable, that's another indication you're not dealing with light beings. Some of them will run from that. So I guess I'm just babbling on here, and I'll close with this. But it's in our best interests, my friends, not to be prejudiced by what the eye sees. Anything the eye sees is passing, is fleeting, is physical, and so therefore it has a birth and it has a death. That's just built in. Even the physicality I'm wearing, that you're wearing, it has a birthday and it has a death day. That's just what it is, you know. It's not real, and to base anything deep and long-lasting on some superficial something like appearances, that's not good. So I'm all for opening the heart and the awareness to allow in all different races of beings to have their own existence. That doesn't mean we want to be rescued by them. But there are some pretty strange beings that are nonetheless beings of light.